Have you ever stopped in the middle of an argument with your partner and thought, wait, what are we even fighting about? Maybe it started with something as small as leaving shoes in the hallway, forgetting to buy bread, or rolling eyes during a conversation. Suddenly, that tiny moment spirals into a heated argument where both of you feel misunderstood, disrespected, or even unloved. And afterwards, you're left wondering, why did such a little thing cause such a big explosion? Today, we're going to dive into exactly that question. Why do we fight about trivial things in relationships? And more importantly, how can we handle these conflicts in a way that strengthens connection instead of damaging it? Stay with me because by the end of this episode, you'll not only understand why those little sparks ignite into flames, but also how to transform arguments into opportunities for intimacy and growth. So, let's start by uncovering the truth behind small fights. The first thing to understand is that when couples argue about small things, the fight is almost never about what it looks like on the surface. On the surface, it's about the empty milk carton, the late reply to a text, or the way one partner interrupted the other. But underneath, these moments act like symbols. They touch on much bigger needs and fears, like feeling valued, feeling respected, or feeling emotionally safe. That's why small triggers can lead to such big reactions. The shoes in the hallway are not just shoes. To one partner, they might symbolize carelessness or a lack of appreciation. To the other, being criticized for the shoes might symbolize constant judgment and not being good enough. The little thing becomes a doorway into much deeper emotions. Now, here's where curiosity comes in. If we know the real argument isn't about the surface issue, what is it really about? Why do our brains and hearts respond so strongly? The answer lies in a mix of psychology, biology, and communication patterns. Our brains are wired to react defensively when we feel criticized or rejected. Even small signals of disapproval can trigger our fight-or-flight response. That's why your heart races, your voice gets louder, and suddenly you're saying things you don't mean. And because partners are emotionally important to each other, their actions carry extra weight. A friend leaving shoes in the hallway might not bother you, but your partner doing it might spark a storm. Why? Because the closer the bond, the more their behavior feels tied to your sense of worth and security. So here's a key insight. Couples don't fight about the thing in front of them. They fight about what that thing represents emotionally. Once you start noticing that, you can shift how you communicate. But before we go into solutions, let's break down more reasons why these arguments happen. One reason is accumulation. Little irritations add up. If one partner repeatedly feels unheard or overlooked, each small incident piles on top of the last until the weight becomes unbearable. The actual fight might explode over something minor simply because it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Another reason is mismatched expectations. Everyone has different ideas about what's normal or reasonable in daily life. How clean the house should be, how quickly texts should be answered, how often plans should be made. When these unspoken expectations clash, partners often don't realize they're operating from different standards. Instead of talking about expectations openly, they accuse each other of being careless or demanding. And let's not forget stress. When life already feels heavy with work, finances, or family obligations, tolerance for small annoyances shrinks dramatically. What you might ignore on a good day becomes intolerable when you're already stretched thin. Now, here's where the conversation gets really interesting. Research shows that conflict itself isn't what harms relationships. In fact, healthy couples argue just as much as struggling couples. The difference lies in how they argue. When conflict is managed with gentleness, respect, and curiosity, it can actually bring partners closer. When conflict is handled with criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling, it slowly erodes love and trust. That's why learning how to communicate conflict in a gentle way is one of the most powerful skills any couple can develop. So, how do we do it? Let's break down practical tools. The first tool is awareness. When you feel yourself reacting strongly to something small, pause and ask, what does this really mean to me? Maybe the dishes left in the sink make you feel invisible because you've asked for help many times before. Maybe the forgotten text makes you feel unimportant because connection is your love language. By identifying the deeper meaning, you can express it more clearly. Instead of saying, "You never do the dishes," you might say, "When the dishes are left undone, I feel like my effort doesn't matter." That difference changes everything. The second tool is language. Words are powerful. Beginning sentences with "you always" or "you never" almost guarantees defensiveness. These phrases sound like character attacks, even if you didn't intend them that way. A simple shift to "I feel" statements reduces blame and invites empathy. Saying, "I feel overwhelmed when the kitchen is messy," is very different from "You're so messy." One invites understanding, the other invites war. The third tool is curiosity. Instead of assuming you know why your partner acted the way they did, ask them. When we're upset, we tend to create harsh stories in our minds. He left the dishes because he doesn't care. She's nagging me because she wants to control me. These stories fuel anger. But if we get curious, we may find a softer truth. Asking, "Can you tell me what was going on for you when this happened?" often reveals intentions that are far less hurtful than the ones we imagined. Curiosity turns conflict into connection. The fourth tool is regulation. This might be the most important of all. You cannot have a gentle conversation when your body is in fight or flight mode. If you notice your voice rising, your chest tightening, or your thoughts racing, it's time to pause. Taking a short break is not avoidance, it's responsibility. Say, "I care about this conversation, but I need a few minutes to calm down." Then walk, breathe, or do something soothing. When your nervous system calms, you can come back with clarity instead of fury. The fifth tool is remembering the bigger picture. When you're in the middle of a small fight, it can feel like the most important battle in the world. But step back and ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be close? Winning the argument might give you temporary satisfaction, but it often leaves your partner feeling defeated. In love, the real win is not proving a point. It's preserving connection. Now let's add another layer of insight. Attachment styles. People with an anxious attachment often interpret small disappointments as signs of rejection. They might overreact to small issues because deep down they fear abandonment. People with avoidant attachment, on the other hand, may feel suffocated by criticism and withdraw when small problems are brought up. Understanding your attachment style and your partner's can shine a light on why tiny sparks turn into emotional fires. Instead of labeling each other as dramatic or cold, you begin to see the deeper fears at play. Another important concept is emotional bids. Psychologist John Gottman explains that partners constantly make little bids for connection. A comment, a question, a joke, or even pointing something out. When these bids are ignored or dismissed, resentment grows. That's why fighting about small things often feels so painful. It's not just the dishes or the text. It's the feeling that your bid for attention, care, or partnership was rejected. Recognizing bids and responding to them with warmth can drastically reduce unnecessary conflict. But what about when conflict already escalates? Here's where repair attempts come in. Repair attempts are small gestures that de-escalate tension, like cracking a joke, using a gentle touch, or saying, "Let's start over." Couples who learn to repair quickly don't avoid fights. They simply recover from them faster and with less damage. Think of repair as emotional first aid. It stops the bleeding so healing can begin. All of these tools come down to one core principle: shifting the goal of conflict from winning to understanding. If both partners can remember that they're on the same team, even in moments of disagreement, small fights become opportunities to deepen intimacy. Imagine a world where every irritation, instead of being a wedge, became a window into your partner's heart. That's the power of gentle communication. So the next time you catch yourself in a fight about something that feels small, pause and ask, what's this really about? What am I truly needing right now? How can I express that with vulnerability instead of attack? And how can I stay curious about what my partner needs too? Because at the end of the day, love isn't measured by the absence of conflict. It's measured by the presence of care, even in conflict. Arguments about little things don't have to drive couples apart. In fact, with awareness and gentleness, they can become the very moments that bring couples closer together.